So I want to share with you some thoughts about the deeper meaning of Einstein's famous formula E equals mc squared. And if we kind of go to the kind of origins of the cosmos across the spiritual traditions, we see, for example, from Genesis, darkness covered the face of the deep. The darkness breathes over the lumbering waters. This is from the stanzas of Dizan, which is from the Theosophical tradition. And then from the Hermetic Corpus, we see a similar statement. From the Rig Veda, we see this kind of universal process of a primal darkness, and that somehow that's related to the dark waters. And then we have, of course, in the book of Genesis, and God said, "Let there be light." And God separated the light from the darkness. And so this is depicted here. We start with that kind of darkness, and then let there be light. And suddenly that light sort of begins to structure the darkness, because the light is brighter in some places than others. It begins to partially reveal things, but it also creates essentially a momentum toward creation. And so that first let there be light creates what I call a spiritual momentum that essentially creates the level of divinity. Now on the right, you'll see I've indicated that with E meaning pure spiritual essence or energy. And then let there be light, and that light divides E into some sort of visual, immeasurable heavens, as it were. And then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So this now is another second division, again created by a different kind of light. So I often think of this as the first level there was the uncreated light, which creates the heavens. And the second level, it brings in the created light, and that creates the manifest plane. And so if you look on the right-hand side there, from the top, we have E, which is pure spiritual essence. And then we divide that by C, and we get spiritual momentum. C, by the way, is the speed of light. So essentially dividing that by light. And then we divide by C again, and we get the plane of manifestation. And so there's a vertical thing here that happens from E to E over C to E over C squared. And so manifestation is E over C squared. And if you rewrite that equation, you get E equals mc squared. So here's the point I want to make, that E equals mc squared, as Einstein spoke about, is merely the physical manifestation on a horizontal plane, on the plane of manifestation, of a deeper spiritual process that starts in a vertical sense from the Godhead. And then there are these two steps, that the pure essence of divine essence is divided by the uncreated light first, and then by the created light. And the first step creates the heavens, and the second step creates the manifest realm. And so this is the last slide, and I just want to summarize how this looks. So on the left, you see E moving to E over C, moving to E over C squared. And then across the top, we have the spiritual stages and metaphysical processes. Then we have the science that describes that stage or process. And then on the right, I'll talk about that in a moment. But if we look at those spiritual stages and metaphysical processes, so we have the union, everything is one. And the science of that realization, if you will, is mysticism. And then out of an act of divine grace, there's an emanation, which is basically the uncreated light, if you will. And the science there is gnosis. By science, I mean the practice by which human beings come to relate to this. And that then creates the heavens, if you will. And the science is kind of the science of divinity, the kind of architecture of the heavenly realms. And then that continues with the process of revelation, where the heavenly structures are revealed to prophets and mystics here on the plane of the earth. And that then reveals the kingdom of God on earth. And that process is reflected in the esoteric sciences, the I Ching, the Tarot, these different symbolic systems that show the relationship between kind of the heavens and our earthly plane. And of course, then when we come fully to earth, we have the natural sciences. And the natural sciences are the physical sciences. Their only problem with them is they think that's the whole story and there's nothing else. But actually, that's just the story on this plane, of the physical plane. And there are these higher levels. And then finally, on the right-hand side, I call this the vertical respiration, the great outbreathing of God, and then the great inbreathing. So we have the evocation of God, where it's essentially divine will be done on earth. And then we have the human being who reverses that. May my will be one with thine will. And so you have essentially the divine will cascading downward to be done as God's will on earth. And then you have each one of us with that deep prayer, may my will be one with thine. And so you have this kind of circular verticality between the highest stages of the Godhead and this level of manifestation on earth. Thank you.